Hi there, I'm Rob Mansley. I'm an instructor at Fly Spain. I've been teaching and coaching for the last 25 years. So today we're going to look at some forward launch behaviour, some pros and cons, and some reverse launching. Modern gliders are designed from the outset, especially that A, B and high B bracket are designed for ease of launch. It's generally us that overcomplicate these things, not the glider. All right, and obviously you'll be laid out in a very light wind environment with your glider, getting it nicely set out on the ground, everything checked, clipping into it and being center of the canopy is quite key. Generally, most risers and most modern decent brands have split A's now. Just grab the middle A's, keep your hands relatively high, and then the rest of it is sort of is posture. Occasionally we get a little bit tense on launch, and we want to scrum down and drive the glider off the hill. Actually, if you just keep your hands relatively high, take a nice positive step forward, head looking at the horizon, so we're not rolling the shoulders forward, the glider will just follow us up over 2 or 3 steps. You've obviously got to catch it when it comes to 12 o'clock, lean through and commit to the run. Look up at the horizon. Body posture is everything. When we teach students here, we teach them look up at the horizon, not at the ground a metre ahead of them. That's not going to help them. But looking up at the horizon helps with how they step forward, and they don't tend to bring their hands forward. People commonly punch forward or drive forward in this scrum-like position, and then they put a dog leg into the riser, which then sort of collapses or puts a little turn into a forward launch. Common mistakes with forward launching, well, once we've got the glider up over our head, is if the glider has danced one way or the other, they're elliptical. The analogy we quite often look at, you're the baby in a baby bouncer, you're the springy thing below. If the glider rolls around to one side, the common first thing to do is to pull on one brake and to try and yank it over your head. But actually, when we teach parameter pilots or any of our students here, we encourage them to run forward and underneath. And that simple process, as soon as you recognise the glider going off to one side, is enough to get your wings level. And then once your aircraft is nicely taxied over your head, that's when we can crack on with a bit of speed and run the glider off the hillside. But you can't go, half cocked off the hill. In this example where we've got, this girl she corrects, the glider goes off to the right, she runs right, corrects it, tickle her left brake, and then she beautifully runs off the hillside when everything's in place. And we start with the wall. It doesn't need to be too big. In this video, this pilot has a really huge wall in a bit of breeze, so automatically it's got a lot of energy on the ground, and they're having to to manage that, just so that it's slightly doomed, because it's gonna come up really quickly. There's loads of energy, they're going to get dragged off their feet. A slightly smaller wall you can easily manage, and the more time you practice in a field, not on top of launch, you've got to understand that as you inflate the glider, you have to anticipate with a weighted step towards it to decelerate it. It's the only way. With a nice symmetrically, a nice curved wall that's not, it's sort of one cell deep off the ground, we can easily keep that on the ground just by leaning back into the harness, keeping the A's tensioned, keeping a nice airflow down through the crossport venting into the canopy, keeping the trailing edge planted on the ground so that you can half turn and take off anywhere when it's suitable to go. The inflation of the glider comes from your body. It doesn't come, we talk about instructors are bad for doing this, everyone's bad for doing this. We say pull up your glider. We're not pulling anything up, right? We are launching the glider by using our body weight through the risers, through the harness, to convert that into enough energy for your nice curved glider to roll up into the ground. Having somebody, setting up a GoPro or getting a friend just to video you relatively close to see what you're doing with your body and your hands will spot the problems. Students here get videoed every day they go flying, right? They get to see every launch they make. And as a result, I can say to somebody, you're pulling with your hands, and I can repeat that 2 or 3 times, but when they actually see it, and they go, all right, I've shortened the risers, making the glider twist or turn. Overbraking, right? The point in which when we walk towards the glider, we need to capture the glider overhead. We need to catch it. When we come off the A's, you just need to take a moment to get the glider under control. And my advice to you is to be able to look from one wingtip to the other and go, I've got control. Breathe and turn. And that turn is quite crucial, right? In this shot, this guy's turning still with a lot of brake on. And when he steps forward, his head comes back, his glider's lost just a little bit more airspeed, and he spins the canopy. And be conscious of the fact that if you need to run off a hillside, you need to let the glider breathe. You need to give it airspeed to run off the hill. Too much brake, it's not going anywhere, right? That'll have you in the bushes below or making another attempt. So if you get to launch early and there's a bit of space and no one's harrying you to get off, then have a little practice inflation. Just a couple of little inflations, bit of control, half a turn, you go, oh yeah, I remember how to do that. Pop it down, then mushroom up, go to the front of your takeoff and make it look good. Remember, you can abandon and launch. If you pull up the glider, it comes up hideously asymmetrically on you. There's not a lot of pressure in it, the wings flapping around, you're zigzagging your way towards some bushes. You can stop, bury the brakes, try and stay on your feet, turn and face your glider. We've not covered things like how you grab the risers, specific of, setting yourself up. All that is in other videos on our YouTube channel. See the link below in the description, and obviously feel free to browse through the collection of other videos that we've put up to date, and there will be more to come.